Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of 15 Minutes of Fame. I'm Al Gilbert. I am the Chief Listing Officer for advisoryoptions.net. We're a service that helps people find jobs, we help businesses find customers, and we help sales presenters put together presentations that people actually want to listen to. So I love listening to interesting people, and my guest today is Christopher Elliott. And he is an author, a consumer advocate, and journalist. We'll get into those details. Lives in the beautiful town of Sedona, Arizona. Christopher, welcome.
Thanks very much, Al. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So I always like to start at the beginning, and that is the beginning of your life. So where did you grow up, and what did your parents do for professions?
I grew up in Vienna, Austria, and my parents worked in the ministry. So my father is a Presbyterian minister, now retired.
Oh, and your mom, did she have a profession?
She was a homemaker. There were five kids in the family, so she kept very busy, and then she taught kindergarten.
And did you go away to boarding school? Because I went away to boarding school.
Yes, I had one very memorable year at boarding school in Germany.
Oh, in Germany. Okay. I grew up in the Virgin Islands in St. Thomas. I went to a boarding school in Massachusetts. And we had it was a Methodist boarding school by the name of Mount Hermon. We had a number of classmates who came from missionary families as well, if such that. So I looked at your profile. You went to UC Irvine for a while, and then you went to UC Cal Berkeley. Why did you move from Irvine to Berkeley, and why did you switch from humanities to journalism?
Well, at UC Irvine, I got my undergraduate degree. So that's why I finished there with a humanities degree and then went to graduate school at UC Berkeley and got a journalism degree.
Oh, was that was the plan, or did you have an epiphany somewhere between humanities and journalism?
Not really. I mean, I knew that I wanted to do a career in journalism, so I had done 5 internships already by the time I finished at UCI. And then I wanted to do a journalism degree, and so then I picked up another 2 internships. So by the time I was done, I think I had 7 or 8 internships.
Oh, wow.
Everyone called me a professional intern. I loved being an intern.
What did you like about it?
I like learning.
Yeah.
I like one of the things that they did with interns is that they let them do everything. So you could write features, you could do news, you could do breaking news, you could do cops. So you do the police beat, you would, and you'd get a really good feel of what journalism was. And I really liked that a lot. And I also liked working with professional journalists and hearing what they had to say and getting their feedback on my work and becoming a better writer.
So, you did a lot of different kind of writing. You could have been the next Bob Woodward or Carl Bernstein. Why travel?
I think part of it had to do with the way that I grew up, because we traveled so much as a family. I think that when I was growing up, we would move. It happened to be on my birthday. Every year we would move somewhere else or travel somewhere. And they say that once the travel bug bites you, you really, it's like the mafia, it sucks you in, it won't let you go. But I really felt like travel was something that I enjoyed doing and I wanted to do for the rest of my career. And so that's how I got into it.
Cool, good. And the Elliott Advocacy, you started that in 1997?
Yeah, that just about, right. Well, I was writing, it's interesting because I think everyone in their career, they reach a point where they've burned out. And I had worked for a travel magazine for a while. And then I went back to Germany and did a Fulbright and then came back. And a friend connected me with another editor at abcnews.com. They were just starting out. This is like 1997. They were just starting their website. And they said, we were looking for a travel columnist. So I talked to the editor there and she said, well, what would your approach be with a travel column? And I said, at this point in my life, I really don't want to travel. I don't like travel. And she said, you're perfect. We want you to do this column for us. So it was a very contrarian column, and it attracted a lot of questions from people. Often they were problems that they couldn't solve themselves. And that's when I started advocating.
And when people come to you for assistance, are you compensated when you help them?
No, no. I mean, I run a 501c3. It's called Elliott Advocacy, and you can find the URL at elliott.org, two L's, two T's. And we are an entirely volunteer-run organization. I don't get paid a salary, so we just all do it because we want to help people. And we actually don't charge people for our services. People donate to us if they want to, and we have a lot of wonderful supporters. But our services, and let me be specific, our services are, we offer self-advocacy help. So we have a lot of information on the website that helps people fix their problem. It's not just travel, it's any kind of consumer problem.
Oh, okay.
We also will advocate for them if they have an insurmountable problem or a question that they can't get an answer to. And then we also publish the names, numbers, and email addresses of the executives. And that's what we consider research. So if you're looking for the CEO of an airline or of an appliance company, we'll get it for you and we'll publish it, and get into a lot of trouble for publishing it too.
What kind of trouble?
Takedown orders, that sort of thing.
Oh. So I imagine you've been quite busy. Your 501(c)(3) has been quite busy during these COVID days.
Thousands and thousands of requests for help, and we try to answer everyone and get a resolution for them.
And the requests for help, are they mostly around refunds?
Yeah, for airlines, it's mostly refunds. We're getting a lot of issues with European carriers that want to issue a credit instead of a refund. So there's that. Yeah. And then, we have a lot of other, everything from late furniture delivery for IKEA. We've got a lot of IKEA problems to, exploding appliances and cars that turn out to be lemons, that sort of thing.
Did you in the past, or are you still working with Kate Hani of flyersrights.org?
Yeah, I work with Flyers Rights. We have a great relationship. We will exchange information in cases sometimes and refer us to each other. And there are a couple of advocacy organizations out there. There really aren't that many that do just travel, but we have a good relationship. Yes.
Okay. And then in 2011, you wrote the book Scammed: How to Save Your Money and Find Better Service. Did that come out of the Elliott Advocacy work?
Well, back then, the site was much more informal. It was more of a personal blog. But yeah, I mean, people have been inundating my inbox with help requests and complaints for a very long time.
Okay.
So I wanted to do something that was not travel related, and so that was that book.
Okay. And then the other book, 2014, How to Be the World's Smartest Traveler. I guess given COVID and the industry, you could easily update that book.
Yeah, well, it is a little bit vintage because, I have references to US Airways and a couple of other airlines that aren't with us anymore. But the advice itself is timeless in that book. Not to be too promotional, but a lot of it, I was just reading it over the other day, and it's still a lot of things that hold true now, even though it was written back in 2013 and 14.
Okay. Speaking of US Air and similar airlines like my alma mater, Pan Am, behind me.
Yeah.
Do you think there'll be any mergers as a result of the economic situation with airlines today?
Oh, yeah. No, I think that we're going to see at least one bankruptcy, maybe two. And we have already seen some smaller bankruptcies in the airline industry.
Yeah.
And then, probably an airline will come along and buy the assets. So I can imagine something like TWA and American Airlines happening, where American just came along and bought up all of its assets. But who knows? I mean, my crystal ball doesn't always work so well. I might be wrong about that.
Yeah. Well, you've been around long enough to see a lot of hits on the airline industry. 1995, they stopped paying commissions. We had the Twin Towers in 2001, the recession 2008. Is this about the worst you've seen for the industry this last year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an industry analyst, but I'm told that this is 9 times worse than 9/11, and I would believe that. I heard a statistic this morning that 30% of all the ARC numbers are going to be gone by that we had at the beginning of the year are going to be gone by the end of December. That means 30% of the travel agencies will be gone, which is just really a sobering statistic. And I think that this is probably as bad as it gets. I mean, short of an apocalyptic planet-ending event, this is about as bad as it gets.
Yeah, I would say so too. The airlines some months ago waived their change fees. So now you don't have to pay anything to book a new fare. Do you think this is just a marketing gimmick, or do you think this will be around once the airlines recover as best they can?
It's a gimmick. They'll find some other way of making up the money. These are, remember that the airlines have built their entire business model on fees. And so the way that they're making their money now is not by charging for tickets. They're making it with ancillary fees. They're earning profits from their ancillary fees and from selling frequent flyer miles. You take away one, you take away the fees and they lose their profitability. You take away the loyalty programs and they're dead.
Well, United Airlines, I think, had mortgages its frequent flyer program, didn't it? Somehow it raised money.
Yeah, that was, I think you're thinking of Delta, where
Uh,
they took a loan out against their frequent flyer program. They valued it, I think it was somewhere around $6 billion. Really, these aren't airlines that we're talking about anymore. These are loyalty programs that happen to be flying airlines, but they are basically in the loyalty business. And when you're talking about a valuation like that, you definitely just go look at the 10Ks for the major airlines, and it's pretty clear that they're getting all of their money from, I don't say all their money, most of their money from loyalty programs.
yeah, no, I agree. Have you been on an airplane since March of this year?
I have, yes.
And what's your experience?
It was a little scary. We were stuck in France during the pandemic and we had to get back. So we evacuated back to the US in, I want to say, late April. And, it was just what you hear, empty flights. Flight attendants are just, they're not serving meals, they're just throwing boxes on the seats with bottled water and cookies. And a lot of uncertainty and fear. So I don't think that's gone away. I think if anything now, we're having this conversation on a day when we've hit another record for new COVID infections. I think now people are more freaked out than ever, and with good reason.
I'm not sure if they're more freaked out or not. I think the rate of infections has become so common in our daily news report. I don't think it shocks us anymore, unless of course you and I get COVID. I don't see travel decreasing much. And now that we go into the holiday season, people have cabin fever. They want to get out. They want to see their family. The airlines have claimed that they've got the cleanest air in the world. Would you fly today?
Well, that's really a trick question, because if I say yes, then I'm going to have half my readers are going to come after me. If it was an essential trip, if I had to fly for medical treatment or for to a funeral, then I would feel okay flying and staying in a hotel, but I would also avoid it if I could. I really think there's this huge divide and I'm hearing just from the scaredy cats, but I get lots of emails from people who say, I would never darken the door of a hotel or go on a plane, not until there's a vaccine. Even the people who say that they'll go if there's a vaccine, I think that they may not even take the vaccine if it's available. I think they're just like, they don't know what to do. So it's really a weird time to be in this business.
Yeah, it is, and I've always, I've expressed my opinion on LinkedIn and elsewhere that frankly, I don't care how clean the air on the airplane is, and I don't care how contactless the hotels become. If the destination itself is not safe, or I can't count on being able to get to the destination and getting home again, that's so fluid. That's why I don't want to travel.
Well, the plane is not the most dangerous part of your flight experience. It's the airport. there was a study done, a survey of epidemiologists that said the airport is riskier than the plane. And that makes sense. You know, you got people congregating, taking their masks off, eating, drinking, touching all the handles and high touch areas. And, you know, you could have a perfectly safe flying experience, but as you say, get to your destination and get infected, or get infected when you're at the airport.
Yeah. Well, and I was trying to say that I'm not even sure I could go to my destination, whether there was a lockdown or a quarantine, and that's what's changing so quickly. I mean, on one day Massachusetts lets you in, on the next day you can't go there. That's what I find disconcerting. So maybe we can end this on a high note. Another trick question, if you will. I mean, given that Pfizer has announced a vaccine that apparently works well, we've got new leadership in Washington. Are you optimistic or just cautious about the future of travel?
I'm pretty optimistic. I've always been optimistic. I think that things are going to come back faster than anyone expects.
Good. Well, I hope so too. Not just for the industry, but for everyone in the hospitality industry that works here. That a lot of colleagues that I've got. So, Christopher Elliott, writer, advocate. We appreciate your time. People can find you on LinkedIn. And thanks again.
Time's up.
Time's up. There you go.